ASEAN, a region of opportunities with a young and growing population of more than 620 million people. By connecting ASEAN, we connect these opportunities. Over the past 50 years, ASEAN has shown significant progress and benefits from its regional integration efforts. Its GDP nearly doubled to reach US $2.6 trillion between 2007 and 2016. We can deliver more. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 aims to achieve a seamless, integrated and comprehensively connected ASEAN. This will promote competitiveness, inclusiveness and a greater sense of community. What does that mean for you? The Master Plan will improve the way you live, work and travel. It will enhance the physical infrastructure that brings us together. It will link our institutions to support our cooperation across borders. Through all this, it connects everyone in this region as one community. ASEAN is a vibrant, growing, multicultural region. Our diversity is our strength. To better harness this potential, ASEAN connectivity will bridge the country's individual strengths to make us collectively stronger. ASEAN connectivity will help us better work together on our common challenges. Our region needs a significant increase in infrastructure investments to meet our growing needs. 90 million more people will call our cities home by 2030. Productivity will also need to grow. We also need to cooperate to reach our full potential. Together, we form the third biggest workforce in the world and one of the world's biggest consumer markets. There is huge potential in our digital economy. Our economies are uniquely positioned to benefit further from global trade and investment. ASEAN connectivity will be enhanced through 5 strategic areas. Sustainable infrastructure, increasing investment, improving infrastructure productivity, and building better cities. Digital innovation, supporting adoption of technology, using digital innovations to improve financial access and enhance data sharing and management. Seamless logistics, lowering costs and improving supply chains. Regulatory excellence, providing common frameworks and removing trade barriers. People mobility, enhancing skills and enabling the movement of our most vital resource, the peoples of ASEAN. Through these areas, the Master Plan provides a framework for everyone to benefit and come closer together. The Master Plan for ASEAN Connectivity 2025, reaching for a better tomorrow by connecting ASEAN today. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 aims to secure a brighter future for the people of ASEAN. In the area of regulatory excellence and harmonizing regional standards, we will create an environment that better enables ASEAN to achieve sustained economic growth.
For integration to take place, you need people movement, you need services to flow across the region. Strengthen regulatory excellence is for the countries to agree on adopting a common framework. Having a harmonized and uniform set of regulatory standards will be good for the ASEAN businesses, and the other objective, of course, related to it is to reduce what is known as non-tariff measures or barriers.
Despite considerable progress, there remains significant non-tariff trade barriers within ASEAN. The Master Plan lays out a strategy to address this challenge. It will increase transparency on such barriers and strengthen the evaluation of non-tariff measures by building on the ASEAN Trade Repository. The development of a trade regulation database will allow us to see how trade is regulated throughout ASEAN, help us access non-tariff trade barriers in greater detail, and work towards removing these constraints on ASEAN trade. By bringing down barriers, we open up ASEAN to higher quality growth.
In our SEZ, we have got a lot of non-tariff barriers that have been tremendously reduced in many ways. One example is the licensing systems. These licensing systems were never practiced in our SEZ. There is no price controls in our SEZ, and there is a level playing field that is fully assured by the law, and there's no discrimination between foreign investors and domestic investors. Another example is we have established one-stop service centers at the SEZ and developed standard operating procedures to have the predictable environment for investors.
The master plan will accelerate harmonization of standards and regulations within ASEAN by enhancing coordination between public and private stakeholders and promoting good regulatory practices. That means that products which comply with regulations in one ASEAN country will also comply with regulations in all other ASEAN countries. This will greatly improve the ease of doing business. And the easier it is to do business, the easier it is to invest in ASEAN.
Đặc biệt để thúc đẩy cái công tác xuất nhập khẩu giữa các Việt Nam và các nước ASEAN trong thời gian qua và thời gian sắp tới đấy, thì chúng tôi cũng đã chủ động có cái sự kết nối một cửa ASEAN. Mục đích là những cái thông tin của các doanh nghiệp có thể là thay vì phải tìm hiểu qua cái thủ tục thủ công thì chúng ta có thể trực tiếp tìm hiểu trên cổng thông tin một cửa ASEAN này. Đó là vấn đề là thuế quan mà các nước đã ký kết thì sẽ được giảm. Làm như vậy thì cái lượng hàng hóa của các nước ASEAN nó sẽ thúc đẩy và tạo thuận lợi hơn nữa trong cái thời gian tương lai.
Harmonized regulation will have significant positive impacts on the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises at the heart of ASEAN's economy. It will improve transparency across borders, allowing even the smallest enterprise to trade efficiently over multiple territories, providing an environment that businesses in the region can thrive. Through all this, the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 will increase transparency, harmonize regulations, and provide a stronger framework for economic collaboration in ASEAN. Working together towards a better connected ASEAN. ASEAN is a region of great diversity. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 seeks to take advantage of our individual strengths to bring common benefits for the entire region. One way to do this is by improving the mobility of people within ASEAN and thus unlocking greater opportunities. As it becomes easier to travel around the world, ASEAN stands to benefit from the growth in visitor numbers. More than half of the global air traffic growth will be in the Asia-Pacific region over the next 20 years. In 2015, ASEAN welcomed over 108 million visitors, with nearly half of them from within ASEAN itself. ASEAN can do more. The master
The official regional anthem of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Present on the stage at the moment is the choir group from Princess Kalayani Watana Institute of Music. To perform this anthem, which unites all 10 ASEAN member states. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the ASEAN anthem. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The Princess Kalyaniwattana Institute of Music choir group will now sing their own rendition of One Wonderful World, originally performed by Louis Armstrong. Please enjoy it. Thank you very much, the Princess Kalyaniwattana Institute of Music. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are now proud to present to you the Thailand Chairmanship handover video presentation.
Chairman goal of one vision, one identity, one community. We wish our Thai friends the very best. Sawadee Krap.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We would now like to invite the incoming chair, Your Excellency, please. Prime Minister Lee will now hand over the ASEAN Chairmanship's gavel to His Excellency General Prayut Chan-o-cha. This formally symbolizes the handing over of the ASEAN Chairmanship to the Kingdom of Thailand.
In 1967, the Bangkok Declaration was signed in Thailand, marking the birth of ASEAN. Today, 10 Southeast Asian nations have become the sixth largest economy in the world, with 655 million people, peaceful and prosperous, with people at the heart of this community. Moving ASEAN forward to the next 50 years and beyond, ASEAN will join hands to prepare for unprecedented changes. regional and global challenges. By advancing partnership to fully connect our region and the world, together with our external partners. Create a seamless and one ASEAN in the era of the fourth industrial revolution. Benefit from the digital transformation. Utilize fully the global value chain. And enhance ASEAN centrality in the regional architecture. For a sustainable future that is people-centered, inclusive and green. By reducing economic and social gaps, enhancing human security and investing in human capital, joining the ASEAN people together so that no one is left behind. Thailand is honored and fully prepared to assume the ASEAN Chairmanship in 2019. ASEAN welcomes you to the Kingdom of Thailand and a new chapter for ASEAN. ASEAN 2019, Advancing Partnership for Sustainability.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN would mean nothing without our people. Our youth are our future, and we would like to share here their voices with you today. In the first video presentation produced by the ASEAN Secretariat, we will hear from ASEAN youth on what ASEAN means to them. In the second video, we ask Thai youth as hosts next year what ASEAN can do for them.
Bright future.
Opportunity.
When I hear about ASEAN, I think about diversity and I think about community.
Harmony and delicacy.
To me, ASEAN is a place full of opportunities and also a community where the members help each other.
To me, ASEAN is a space that promises a lot of growth and opportunity where we can help each other to progress together towards better opportunities, be it growth economically, education, in the political spheres and the social, cultural spheres as well.
To me, ASEAN is a community where each member strives for a shared prosperity, peace, and most importantly, equal opportunity to grow.
When they go anywhere in the world, I want today to have a sense of belonging, so they proud to say, I'm ASEAN.
I hope that the passion and commitment to strengthen the ASEAN community will continue to be passed on to the next generation.
Coming years, I wish our harmony keeps maintained, more connectivity happens, and people-to-people relationship is being deepened.
We are ASEAN.
We are ASEAN.
We are ASEAN.
We are ASEAN.
In my opinion, I think in the next year, ASEAN can be the place where we share our opinions and discuss with each other to develop our society in the future.
I think ASEAN can support our sustainable development to improve our society to be better and to balance between economic and environmental sustainability.
Better education.
New friends.
A brighter future. Good food. Good health. Good transportation. I want ASEAN to provide more scholarship for students, especially for the disabled and the underprivileged, because education can improve their quality of life.
Next year, I think ASEAN can empower citizens from next year objective that focus on people-centered community, civil society, and leaving no one behind.
Saving the environment, gender equality,
Promoting respect for human rights,
Expanding opportunity for children.
peace and security.
I think ASEAN can develop communication and transportation for the benefits in many aspects.
I think ASEAN will make economy better so that we can trade with others.
As a part of ASEAN community, I hope that ASEAN will show us their unity, friendship, constructive engagement, and each other respect.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of inviting His Excellency Mr. Don Paramatvinay, Minister of Foreign Affairs, to the stage for his keynote speech.
We just heard the not national, but ASEAN anthem. That anthem was conceived in 1998, and just for your information, it was composed by my friend. I just found out that only a year ago, that a friend of mine back in our university was the one who was responsible for the lyrics of this national anthem. Well, Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends of ASEAN, maybe we haven't said enough to our friends from Singapore who have helped us becoming more resilient and innovative during this year. So I would like to begin by warmly congratulating Singapore for our successful year as chair of ASEAN 2018. Not just congratulating, but thank and extending our appreciation as well. Now, as you can see, we are in the mode of the beginning of this session. And this beginning of a session is the mode of extending pleasantries. I also would like to thank and congratulate my colleagues from the Department of ASEAN for having discovered this new set of 3 C's and turning it into the theme of this statement today. Now we will see what this theme will be about, but it will be a theme of 3 C, 3 sets of 3 C's. For this morning, we'll be playing with this 3 C's jargon. As you can see from the video clip a while ago of the handover ceremony, the gavel of the ASEAN Chairmanship has already been passed from the Prime Minister of Singapore to the Prime Minister of Thailand. Indeed, this one and only gavel for ASEAN is right here, next to me. Now, shall I have the government call the meetings in order? Oh, perhaps not, because Thailand's ASEAN Chairmanship will only officially begin on the 1st of January next year, as stipulated in our ASEAN Charter. and we couldn't just go out, go wide, and paint the town red. We can only, at this moment in time, be in a state of readiness. As a people, we are ready to welcome you with our traditional hospitality to some 180 meetings at various levels and countless other events throughout our kingdom this year. And as a country, we are ready to discharge our responsibilities and realize the theme of advancing partnership for sustainability. We seek to develop an ASEAN community that is people-centered, leaves no one behind, and looks to the future. But to fully appreciate where we will be heading in 2019 and beyond, let me take a brief moment to reflect on how ASEAN got here. ASEAN was born in Bangkok in 1967, at a time of conflict in our region and a global Cold War. But we managed to hang on together in our early years by embracing what I refer to as the original 3 C's. Now you got it. The 3 C's starting from consultation, cooperation, and consensus. These original 3 C's were essential as we tried to build confidence in an association that was still very young and composed of diverse countries and peoples. Slowly but surely, member states worked together to find common solutions, smart solutions, that is, based on mutual respect and interest. This allowed ASEAN to endure and move to its next stage. When ASEAN evolved from an association of 5 to 10, we developed a new set of 3 C's, and that's what we have today. Today, our 3 C's are community building, connectivity, and centrality. When ASEAN ratified Charter in 2008 and became a rule-based community in 2015, we moved to a higher level of cooperation and integration. In the area of community building, we have seen the development process of a single market and a production base. And with the push of the connectivity, which was initiated by Thailand then 10 years ago, our economies and peoples were brought closer together, and enhancing centrality saw the establishment of ASEAN-led platforms that brought the major powers together to reinforce the regional architecture. There has been the foundation for our dynamic growth. Since ASEAN's inception in 1967, the GDP per capita of ASEAN countries has grown 33 times to be exact. Today, ASEAN is the 6th largest economy in the world and could move up to a list as the ASEAN community fulfills its potential fully. So where does ASEAN go from here? Excellency, distinguished guests. As ASEAN moves to the next stage of enhanced cooperation and integration, it's also facing a time of great change and uncertainty. This ranges from the disruptive technologies of the 4th Industrial Revolution to the rising competition among major powers. From the global challenges of climate change and transnational crime to the erosion of trust in regionalism and multilateralism. The challenge of change and uncertainty is confronting ASEAN as never before. In the face of this, ASEAN needs to rethink these strategies and approaches. If it is to remain relevant and central to the region, it needs to increase its strategic value added by becoming more effective in both overcoming challenges and taking the advantage of opportunities. It is therefore in this context that we need to consider the next generation of 3 C's that will help guide the ASEAN community through the next few decades. Now, what is the next generation of 3 C's for ASEAN? And that's what I referred to when I started this statement, that it was a discovery of the Department of ASEAN here that have brought out this new batch of 3 Cs and perhaps the last of the whole series. That is the creativity. As change unfolds ever more rapidly and challenges emerge beyond what the region or the world had expected, ASEAN will need to be creative in coming up with solutions and in preparing for the future problems. The current problems within our region need to be addressed effectively by us. If we do not take the lead in solving our own intra-ASEAN problems, whether it be the challenges of non-tariff barriers or humanitarian crisis or development gaps, then ASEAN risks losing our credibility. At the same time, creativity means that ASEAN has to prepare for the future. That is why we need to move towards becoming a digital ASEAN to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution. We need to use new ICT to reinforce our MSMEs, as well as to enhance financial connectivity and accessibility through fintech and other smart means. Indeed, the effective functioning of an ASEAN single window in 2019 will depend on secure digitalization. And that's why it is also important to reinforce our cybersecurity to safeguard our community's integration with the Internet of Things. To this end, we are proposing an ASEAN Digital Agility Leaders meeting next year, as well as enhancement of the ASEAN-Japan Cybersecurity Capacity Building Center based here in Thailand. Our region, unfortunately, generates $100 billion in transnational crime activities, and the trend is likely to increase. That's why Thailand proposed developing an ASEAN-wide border management arrangements to help safeguard our community that has become more interconnected. To prepare for the future by finding more creative solutions for ASEAN, Thailand has sought the cooperation of the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia to come up with an assessment of future trends affecting ASEAN and recommend creative solutions for ASEAN to consider. We look forward to receiving this study next month. The second of the 3 Cs is, guess what? Complementarities. There needs to be complementarities of policies in multiple dimensions. This is because the challenges facing the region and the world have become increasingly complex. Therefore, no single policy approach is likely to be completely successful by itself. Partnerships are therefore needed, and promoting complementarities is the best approach to sustaining such partnership. Look at the sustainable development, for example. By enhancing complementarities between the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, ASEAN has managed to make sustainable development cooperation an important regional strategy. This was recognized by international institutions as seen at the ASEAN leaders gathering with the UN, World Bank, and the IMF in Bali just a few weeks ago. Indeed, ASEAN has agreed to launch the ASEAN Center for Sustainable Development Studies and Dialogue next year to take forward this concept. This will be one of the 7 ASEAN centers located in Thailand. Complementarities is also essential if we want to enhance regional connectivity, which is a key driver of partnership. And that's why Thailand is proposing an approach called Connecting the Connectivities to build complementarities between these connectivity strategies and the master plan of ASEAN connectivity, or as we call it, Impact 2025. In this way, we hope to develop synergies and increase the strategic value added of this seamless ASEAN. New proposals regarding the regional architecture also need to complement existing frameworks of cooperation and the ASEAN-centered regional architecture. That is why ASEAN is working on a common approach on an Indo-Pacific concept that complement existing framework such as the IORA. IORA, in full, is the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Complementary trade diplomacy will also be critical to realizing the leaders' determination to conclude the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP in short, in 2019. And during that time, Thailand certainly will be sitting at the chair of the meeting. In a sense, complementarities lead to effective partnership, and this is what we need in this increasingly interconnected and interdependent world. Excellency, distinguished guests, allow me to go to the new three C's, or the third of the set, which is continuity. It is impossible for any ASEAN chair to address all of ASEAN challenges in 1 year. Therefore, there need to be continuity in ASEAN policies across the various chairmanship. Only through continuity can we be assured of sustainability in ASEAN policies. And that's why, for example, we continue to develop further the ASEAN Smart Cities Network and reinforce it by ensuring that it contributes to sustainable cities as well as strong cultural ties with one another. Indeed, ASEAN's effort to advancing partnership for sustainability next year is based also in part on continuity of policies with our ASEAN friends in the past, sharing ASEAN. For example, Philippines ASEAN Chairmanship theme of 2017, Partnering for Change, Engaging the World. Continuity of policies will help ASEAN attain a sustainable ASEAN with sustainability in all dimensions, and that this could lead to a sustainable future, which is not just for ASEAN, but also for all our partners and friends near and far. These include addressing marine debris and protecting the marine environment, promoting sustainable fisheries through an ASEAN IUU, the illegal, unregulated, and unreported task force and workshop, as well as the ASEAN General Fisheries Policy. It includes promoting a green economy and tackling climate change, as well as reinforcing human security through the launching of ASEAN Center on Active Aging and Innovation and ASEAN Training Center for Social Work and Social Human Welfare in Thailand. It also includes building human capital through an international conference with World Bank and other international partners next year, as well as promoting greater awareness of the ASEAN identity through a network of ASEAN associations and the ASEAN Cultural Center. The latter, the center, is especially important since 2019 will be the ASEAN Year of Culture. Thus far, only matters pertaining to the two pillars of ASEAN are referred to, economic and social culture. So you can see, continuity helps ensure sustainability. But for all that matters, sustainable harmony and peace sustainability are certainly most desirable. As we get ready to start advancing partnership for sustainability in 2019, I'm reminded by the last few words of the Bangkok Declaration, which states that collective aspiration for ASEAN, even as early as 1967, is to secure for their peoples and for prosperity the blessing of peace, freedom, and prosperity. It is therefore incumbent on us, the generation of today, to help realize them all. certainly for the benefits of our future generation. Excellency, distinguished guests, creativity, complementarities, and continuity will be important principles to help ASEAN in advancing partnership for sustainability. At a time of greater promise in our community building, as well as a time of change and uncertainty in our world. This remarks here in this morning in 2018 is by no means meant to be part of a mini-series with what in the three sets of 3 Cs of 1967 to 2018 ASEAN at this center point. Next to come in 2019 is continuity of why and how to in realizing the Thai theme of SOT, Sustainability of Things. Please stay tuned. Thank you.
May I request Foreign Minister to kindly remain on stage, and may I invite ambassadors or representatives of ASEAN member states on the stage for photo session, please. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And also in ASEAN way. Thank you, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to invite all of the distinguished guests for a coffee break, and our event will resume at 11:05. Thank you.
Asean, a region of opportunities with a young and growing population of more than 620 million people. By connecting ASEAN, we connect these opportunities. Over the past 50 years, ASEAN has shown significant progress and benefits from its regional integration efforts. Its GDP nearly doubled to reach US $2.6 trillion between 2007 and 2016. We can deliver more. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 aims to achieve a seamless, integrated and comprehensively connected ASEAN. This will promote competitiveness, inclusiveness and a greater sense of community. What does that mean for you? The Master Plan will improve the way you live, work and travel. It will enhance the physical infrastructure that brings us together. It will link our institutions to support our cooperation across borders. Through all this, it connects everyone in this region as one community. ASEAN is a vibrant, growing, multicultural region. Our diversity is our strength. To better harness this potential, ASEAN connectivity will bridge the country's individual strengths to make us collectively stronger. ASEAN connectivity will help us better work together on our common challenges. Our region needs a significant increase in infrastructure investments to meet our growing needs. 90 million more people will call our cities home by 2030. Productivity will also need to grow. We also need to cooperate to reach our full potential. Together, we form the third biggest workforce in the world and one of the world's biggest consumer markets. There is huge potential in our digital economy. Our economies are uniquely positioned to benefit further from global trade and investment. ASEAN connectivity will be enhanced through 5 strategic areas. Sustainable infrastructure, increasing investment, improving infrastructure productivity, and building better cities. Digital innovation, supporting adoption of technology, using digital innovations to improve financial access and enhance data sharing and management. Seamless logistics, lowering costs and improving supply chains. Regulatory excellence, providing common frameworks and removing trade barriers. People mobility, enhancing skills and enabling the movement of our most vital resource, the peoples of ASEAN. Through these areas, the Master Plan provides a framework for everyone to benefit and come closer together. The Master Plan for ASEAN Connectivity 2025, reaching for a better tomorrow by connecting ASEAN today. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 aims to secure a brighter future for the people of ASEAN. In the area of regulatory excellence and harmonizing regional standards, we will create an environment that better enables ASEAN to achieve sustained economic growth.
For integration to take place, you need people movement, you need services to flow across the region. Strengthen regulatory excellence is for the countries to agree on adopting a common framework. Having a harmonized and uniform set of regulatory standards will be good for the ASEAN businesses, and the other objective, of course, related to it is to reduce what is known as non-tariff measures or barriers.
Despite considerable progress, there remains significant non-tariff trade barriers within ASEAN. The Master Plan lays out a strategy to address this challenge. It will increase transparency on such barriers and strengthen the evaluation of non-tariff measures by building on the ASEAN Trade Repository. The development of a trade regulation database will allow us to see how trade is regulated throughout ASEAN, help us access non-tariff trade barriers in greater detail, and work towards removing these constraints on ASEAN trade. By bringing down barriers, we open up ASEAN to higher quality growth.
In our SEZ, we have got a lot of non-tariff barriers that have been tremendously reduced in many ways. One example is the licensing systems. These licensing systems were never practiced in our SEZ. There is no price controls in our SEZ, and there is a level playing field that is fully assured by the law and there's no discrimination between foreign investors and domestic investors. Another example is we have established one-stop service centers at the SEZ and developed standard operating procedures to have the predictable environment for investors.
The master plan will accelerate harmonization of standards and regulations within ASEAN by enhancing coordination between public and private stakeholders and promoting good regulatory practices. That means that products which comply with regulations in one ASEAN country will also comply with regulations in all other ASEAN countries. This will greatly improve the ease of doing business. And the easier it is to do business, the easier it is to invest in ASEAN.
Đặc biệt để thúc đẩy cái công tác xuất nhập khẩu giữa các Việt Nam và các nước ASEAN trong thời gian qua và thời gian sắp tới đấy, thì chúng tôi cũng đã chủ động có cái sự kết nối một cửa ASEAN. Mục đích là những cái thông tin của các doanh nghiệp có thể là thay vì phải tìm hiểu qua cái thủ tục thủ công thì chúng ta có thể trực tiếp tìm hiểu cái cổng thông tin một cửa ASEAN này. Đó là vấn đề là thuế quan mà các nước đã ký kết thì sẽ được giảm. Làm như vậy thì cái lượng hàng hóa của các nước ASEAN nó sẽ thúc đẩy và tạo thuận lợi hơn nữa trong cái thời gian tương lai.
Harmonized regulation will have significant positive impacts on the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises at the heart of ASEAN's economy. It will improve transparency across borders, allowing even the smallest enterprise to trade efficiently over multiple territories, providing an environment that businesses in the region can thrive. Through all this, the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 will increase transparency, harmonize regulations, and provide a stronger framework for economic collaboration in ASEAN, working together towards a better connected ASEAN. ASEAN is a region of great diversity. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 seeks to take advantage of our individual strengths to bring common benefits for the entire region. One way to do this is by improving the mobility of people within ASEAN and thus unlocking greater opportunities. As it becomes easier to travel around the world, ASEAN stands to benefit from the growth in visitor numbers. More than half of the global air traffic growth will be in the Asia-Pacific region over the next 20 years. In 2015, ASEAN welcomed over 108 million visitors, with nearly half of them from within ASEAN itself. ASEAN can do more. The Master Plan will support an ASEAN e-visa system, encouraging seamless travel throughout the ASEAN region. The Master Plan will also provide tourists with better access to information on the entire region. With options, more people can learn what our region can offer. These initiatives will enhance ASEAN's attractiveness as an exciting and diverse single tourist destination.
នៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ 2015 គឺមានការកើនឡើងចំនួនទេសចរក្នុងតំបន់អាស៊ានជាង 45 លាននាក់ ហើយនាងខ្ញុំគិតថានឹងបន្តការកើនឡើងមួយឆ្នាំទៅមួយឆ្នាំកត្តាទាំងអស់នេះហើយក្នុងការធ្វើដំណើរច្រើនដោយឡែកដោយក្រុមហ៊ុនទេសចរ Tour នាងខ្ញុំទទួលបានភ្ញៀវអាស៊ីច្រើនមែនទែន គឺក៏ដូចជាប្រជាជនម៉ាឡេស៊ី សិង្ហបុរី Thailand ហ្វីលីពីន ឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីចាតំបន់អាស៊ីនេះហើយដោយសារមានអ្នកទេសចរមានការកើនឡើងនេះហើយដែលទាក់ទាញអ្នកវិនិយោគមកដាក់ទុនបន្ថែមនៅតំបន់អាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍យើងជាពិសេសគឺវិស័យទេសចរតែម្ដងអ្នកវិនិយោគទៅលើ hotel resort ក៏ដូចជា restaurant amusement park ជាដើម
The benefits of greater mobility are not limited to tourism. The Master Plan also aims to introduce new vocational training programs and common qualification frameworks across ASEAN member states. This creates a common pool of manpower in accordance with the needs and circumstances of each nation. The goal is to offer a framework that will develop the skills of our workers, support and encourage a beneficial flow of movement of skilled laborers, professionals and talents in the region.
Intra-ASEAN Skill Labor Mobility merupakan sesuatu kebijakan antar negara ASEAN yang perlu kita dukung sepenuhnya. Pertama adalah standarisasi kualifikasi tenaga kerjanya, dan melalui ASEAN Qualification Framework secara high level itu disepakati. Selain itu juga harus didukung dengan sertifikasi atau uji kompetensi oleh lembaga yang kredibel, sehingga seseorang tenaga kerja yang memegang sertifikat kompetensi tertentu dijamin kompetensinya itu acceptable atau dapat diterima di berbagai sektor industri terkait di negara-negara ASEAN.
A better future for ASEAN means providing the environment for the next generation to flourish. The master plan will support higher education cooperation across member states and provide the opportunity for deeper educational and cultural exchanges.
What we need right now in the world today is the atmosphere of open communication and freedom to move around the region. That's what's important for the students themselves. To have the understanding of other cultures, you have to physically go out there. In turn, it makes you understand about yourself and your own society more than before.
The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025, enhancing people mobility to provide better opportunities for ASEAN. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 aims to secure a brighter future for the people of ASEAN. In the area of regulatory excellence and harmonizing regional standards, we will create an environment that better enables ASEAN to achieve sustained economic growth.
For integration to take place, you need people movement, you need services to flow across the region. Strengthen regulatory excellence is for the countries to agree on adopting a common framework. Having a harmonized and uniform set of regulatory standards will be good for the ASEAN businesses, and the other objective, of course, related to it is to reduce what is known as non-tariff measures or barriers.
Despite considerable progress, there remains significant non-tariff trade barriers within ASEAN. The Master Plan lays out a strategy to address this challenge. It will increase transparency on such barriers and strengthen the evaluation of non-tariff measures by building on the ASEAN Trade Repository. The development of a trade regulation database will allow us to see how trade is regulated throughout ASEAN, help us access non-tariff trade barriers in greater detail, and work towards removing these constraints on ASEAN trade. By bringing down barriers, we open up ASEAN to higher quality growth.
In our SEZs, we have got a lot of non-tariff barriers that have been tremendously reduced in many ways. One example is the licensing systems. These licensing systems were never practiced in our SEZ. There is no price controls in our SEZ, and there is a level playing field that is fully assured by the law, and there's no discrimination between foreign investors and domestic investors. Another example is we have established one-stop service centers at the SEZ and developed standard operating procedures to have the predictable environment for investors.
The Master Plan will accelerate harmonization of standards and regulations within ASEAN by enhancing coordination between public and private stakeholders and promoting good regulatory practices. That means that products which comply with regulations in one ASEAN country will also comply with regulations in all other ASEAN countries. This will greatly improve the ease of doing business. And the easier it is to do business, the easier it is to invest in ASEAN.
Đặc biệt để thúc đẩy cái công tác xuất nhập khẩu giữa các Việt Nam và các nước ASEAN trong thời gian qua và thời gian sắp tới đấy, thì chúng tôi cũng đã chủ động có cái sự kết nối một cửa ASEAN. Mục đích là những cái thông tin của các doanh nghiệp có thể là thay vì phải tìm hiểu qua cái thủ tục thủ công thì chúng ta có thể trực tiếp tìm hiểu cái cổng thông tin một cửa ASEAN này. Đó là vấn đề là thuế quan mà các nước đã ký kết thì sẽ được giảm. Làm như vậy thì cái lượng hàng hóa của các nước ASEAN nó sẽ thúc đẩy và tạo thuận lợi hơn nữa trong cái thời gian tương lai.
Harmonized regulation will have significant positive impacts on the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises at the heart of ASEAN's economy. It will improve transparency across borders, allowing even the smallest enterprise to trade efficiently over multiple territories, providing an environment that businesses in the region can thrive. Through all this, the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 will increase transparency, harmonize regulations, and provide a stronger framework for economic collaboration in ASEAN. Working together towards a better connected ASEAN. ASEAN is a region of great diversity. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 seeks to take advantage of our individual strengths to bring common benefits for the entire region. One way to do this is by improving the mobility of people within ASEAN and thus unlocking greater opportunities. As it becomes easier to travel around the world, ASEAN stands to benefit from the growth in visitor numbers. More than half of the global air traffic growth will be in the Asia-Pacific region over the next 20 years. In 2015, ASEAN welcomed over 108 million visitors, with nearly half of them from within ASEAN itself. ASEAN can do more. The Master Plan will support an ASEAN e-visa system, encouraging seamless travel throughout the ASEAN region. The Master Plan will also provide tourists with better access to information on the entire region. With options, more people can learn what our region can offer. These initiatives will enhance ASEAN's attractiveness as an exciting and diverse single tourist destination.
នៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ 2015 គឺមានការកើនឡើងចំនួនទេសចរក្នុងតំបន់អាស៊ានជាង 45 លាននាក់ ហើយនាងខ្ញុំគិតថានឹងបន្តការកើនឡើងមួយឆ្នាំទៅមួយឆ្នាំកត្តាទាំងអស់នេះហើយក្នុងការធ្វើដំណើរច្រើនដោយឡែកដោយក្រុមហ៊ុនទេសចរទូវនាងខ្ញុំទទួលបានភ្ញៀវអាស៊ីច្រើនមែនទែន គឺក៏ដូចជាប្រជាជនម៉ាឡេស៊ី សិង្ហបុរី Thailand ហ្វីលីពីន ឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីចាតំបន់អាស៊ីនេះហើយដោយសារមានអ្នកទេសចរមានការកើនឡើងនេះហើយដែលទាក់ទាញអ្នកវិនិយោគមកដាក់ទុនបន្ថែមនៅតំបន់អាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍យើងជាពិសេសគឺវិស័យទេសចរតែម្ដងអ្នកវិនិយោគទៅលើ hotel resort ក៏ដូចជា restaurant amusement park ជាដើម
The benefits of greater mobility are not limited to tourism. The Master Plan also aims to introduce new vocational training programs and common qualification frameworks across ASEAN member states. This creates a common pool of manpower in accordance with the needs and circumstances of each nation. The goal is to offer a framework that will develop the skills of our workers, support and encourage a beneficial flow of movement of skilled laborers, professionals and talents in the region.
Intra-ASEAN Skill Labor Mobility merupakan sesuatu kebijakan antar negara ASEAN yang perlu kita dukung sepenuhnya. Pertama adalah standarisasi kualifikasi tenaga kerjanya dan melalui ASEAN Qualification Framework secara high level itu disepakati. Selain itu juga harus didukung dengan sertifikasi atau uji kompetensi oleh lembaga yang kredibel sehingga seseorang tenaga kerja yang memegang sertifikat kompetensi tertentu dijamin kompetensinya itu acceptable atau dapat diterima di berbagai sektor industri terkait di negara-negara ASEAN.
A better future for ASEAN means providing the environment for the next generation to flourish. The Master Plan will support higher education cooperation across member states and provide the opportunity for deeper educational and cultural exchanges.
What we need right now in the world today is the atmosphere of open communication and freedom to move around the region. That's what's important for the students themselves. To have the understanding of other cultures, you have to physically go out there. In turn, it makes you understand about yourself and your own society more than before.
The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025, enhancing people mobility to provide better opportunities for ASEAN. ASEAN, a region of opportunities with a young and growing population of more than 620 million people. By connecting ASEAN, we connect these opportunities. Over the past 50 years, ASEAN has shown significant progress and benefits from its regional integration efforts. Its GDP nearly doubled to reach US $2.6 trillion between 2007 and 2016. We can deliver more. The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 aims to achieve a seamless, integrated and comprehensively connected ASEAN. This will promote competitiveness, inclusiveness and a greater sense of community. What does that mean for you? The Master Plan will improve the way you live, work and travel. It will enhance the physical infrastructure that brings us together. It will link our institutions to support our cooperation across borders. Through all this, it connects everyone in this region as one community. ASEAN is a vibrant, growing, multicultural region. Our diversity is our strength. To better harness this potential, ASEAN connectivity will bridge the country's individual strengths to make us collectively stronger. ASEAN connectivity will help us better work together on our common challenges. Our region needs a significant increase in infrastructure investments to meet our growing needs. 90 million more people will call our cities home.
We are now ready for the panel
2030.
discussion on ASEAN in 2019. May I introduce our moderator, Ms. Narathip Pakakun, and our panelists. First, Mr. Surya Jindawong, Director General of the Department of ASEAN Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Second, Mr. Narongpoon Pipat, Deputy Director General of the Department of Trade Negotiations, Ministry of Commerce. Last but not least, Ms. Sangdao Ari, Director of Foreign Affairs Division, Ministry of Social Development and Human Security. Ms. Narathip, the panel is yours. Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะ Good morning, everyone. So welcome to the panel discussion. We sort of have limited time, so this is what I'll do. I'll just throw in a couple of questions to our panelists here, and then I'll open up the floor for any questions that you might have, because that's the main reason why you guys are here today. So on the theme of advancing partnership for sustainability, what can you expect from Thailand as chair of ASEAN next year? So we'll start from, these are representatives from the three pillars. The three musketeers of ASEAN. So we'll start with Director General Surya for the political side and security side of things.
Well, thank you for staying onwards. I know it's part of it's because of the good coffee and tea, but thank you for listening in. And I'd just like to say that we believe in dialogue and discussion. That is the essence of partnership. And that is why the theme of partnership is very much ingrained in our theme next year. To send a simple message that ASEAN cannot do it alone. All right? And in this day and age when we are much more connected, much more interdependent, ASEAN needs to reach out. And that is why the theme focuses very much on partnership. Now, I start with the word partnership this time because represented here are the international community. So partnership is key. The other key word is advancing. Advancing also means not staying still. We have to be dynamic. We have to look to the future. And that is why as my Prime Minister said, one of the key words, one of the 3 C's is creativity. We have to be creative, if you want to advance forward. And when you mix advancing with partnership, you get, at the end of the equation, what we hope to have is sustainability. Now, sustainability is not just purely economics or developmental. For us, it's an approach that seeks to address the various challenges that a human being and a nation faces. So it has to do also with sustainable security. It has to do with human security. It has to do with creating better understanding. If you look at one of the exhibits that we have outside, you can see how we've tried to explain what advancing is, partnership is, and sustainability is. And you can see that it is the foundation that brings it all together are issues like ASEAN identity, being identified as part of a single community, and also the idea of an ASEAN brand, that we have to rebrand ourselves a little bit in order to be more attractive, to be more value-added, as we take the next few steps into the next few decades. So that is the general theme I want to say. But from a security, our wonderful moderator has asked me to talk a little bit about security. I think what is important to realize is that one of the key facts that I guess the younger generation sometimes forget is that we've come a long way since 1967. Since 1967, and since we became a community, and since we have become from an association of 5 to a community of 10, there's really one of the great blessings which people take for granted is that there is relative peace, stability in the region. I know there are problems here and there, but no major conflicts, between the ASEAN countries. I think this is a great blessing. This was not always the case pre-1967, so this is something that we really have to cherish. I asked the question once, I was asked the question, can you describe what the region would be like with ASEAN? I said, well, I want to answer it in a different way. I would like to describe the region of Southeast Asia without ASEAN. What does that mean? A counter history, for example. What would Southeast Asia be like without ASEAN? Well, for example, limited diplomatic channels amongst the 10, which means what? Which means less trust and confidence. Which means what? Which means a lot more emphasis on preparing for threats, perceived or real, that we may feel about one another. That's one thing. That has implications for budgeting and other things. Perhaps we would live in a region where there's less more visa requirements amongst us. I cannot travel freely and quickly amongst the 10 countries. I don't even want to talk about the trade issue. There are many things related to trade issues that would be higher tariffs and other obstacles if there weren't an idea of a free trade area, if there weren't an idea of an economic community. Social, cultural aspects. This is just an overview. What do we do with pandemics? We don't have channels of advanced warning, early warning that we had that was very successful between ASEAN and its +3 countries, China, Japan, and ROK, which helped us deal with the Zika and the Ebola. We all have to rely on our own national mechanisms. Prices of goods, without greater trade, free trade amongst us, prices of goods would be higher. So these are some of the implications if we did not have ASEAN. So I think we've come a long way, and I think I'll stop there because I'd like to give the opportunities for others, or perhaps there are other questions the moderator would like to ask. So we've come a long way. Let's work to the future together. And the future has to be sustainable because in this day and age where technologies and everything else changes every few months, I keep being reminded by my iPhone to change, upgrade all the time. You have to be prepared. And that is, let me just end by saying that for that very reason, we have asked the area and many other institutes to prepare for us by next month a study of what ASEAN would be like in 2040 in different aspects. And we're going to use some of the data and the assessments there to help plan for our chairmanship and beyond. So anyway, that's a little bit of a preview. Sorry to take long again in the answer to the question. Please.
Thank you. ขอบคุณค่ะ. So next we'll move on to the economic pillar, what we can expect next year. Can we see more economic integration, especially for RCEP? Are we going to complete it next year?
Thank you. Well, before we're talking about RCEP, let me begin by saying that I like this theme, advancing partnership for sustainability. Well, I need to interpret this partnership into economic side. Well, when I'm thinking about the partnership, of course, I think the top agenda for the ASEAN economic community is economic integration, like free trade agreement, for example. So, well, but when we talk about economic integration, I think, again, a partnership could be two things. One is that ASEAN, among ASEAN, we need to be partner among ourselves first, right? Meaning that ASEAN, we need to integrate it in terms of trade and investment. We need to liberalize trade and investment, of course. And number two is that, of course, partnership, then ASEAN need to engage with the external parties, or meaning that ASEAN need to strengthen our trade relationship with the external parties, our dialogue partner, both existing dialogue partner and future dialogue partners. Okay, so I will focus on economic integration. I think this is very meaningful under the economic pillar. ASEAN first start with the integration. I think after ASEAN was born in 1967, at that time we didn't realize about trade and investment. But anyway, ASEAN has realized that trade investment is more important. Then in years 1977, then ASEAN has the first preferential agreement. Okay. After that, we have after ASEAN Free Trade Agreement in 1992, and we have ARTICA in 2009. We also have the agreement on services in 1995, and we are about to have the new modern agreement by next year for the services. Also, on the investment, we have ASEAN Guarantee Investment in 1987. We have ASEAN that will focus on the protection of investment. We have a liberalization of investment in 1998, and then we have a new modern FTA, is ARCIA, in 1992. Okay, so I'm talking about this because those is a fundamental of trade integration. Okay, ASEAN also need to engage with our dialogue partner. We have 5 FTA, which is 6 ASEAN dialogue partner. We have FTA with China. We have with Japan, India, Australia, New Zealand, and Korea. The last one is with Hong Kong, just signed the agreement last year, and it's about to be implemented. I think we expect to make the ASEAN Hong Kong come into effect by 1st of January next year. Okay, so I think the economic integration is so important. The main objective of this economic integration is like to facilitate, okay, the seamless movement of goods, services, investment, capital, and free flow of skilled labor as well. So we need to have a free flow of goods, service, investment, capital, and labor. This is in order to enhance trade, investment, or production network. I think this is good for our people, good for our businesses, as well as we need to establish the, for example, like your unified market for our businesses and investment. So I think it's very important, okay, for us. My meaning is that equitable education is one of the main things that ASEAN need to fulfill, okay, in the future. I think this will be good or well served the team partnership. Yeah, that's why I need to finish. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director General Ronarong. So now we'll move on to the socio-cultural pillar of ASEAN.
Okay, thank you very much. It is my great honor to be with you today as the representative of the third pillar, the ASEAN socio-cultural pillar. First of all, I also would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for hosting this event and the opportunity for us to share with you about our pillar. So for the overview of our pillar, Ministry of Social Development and Human Security is the national focal point for this pillar. So the division that in charge of the ASCC affairs is the Division of Foreign Affairs Office of the Permanent Secretary. So under the third pillar, the ASCC pillar, there are 15 sectoral bodies. That's quite a lot, working on issues ranging from culture and art, sports, disaster management, education, environment, health, pollution, health, information, labor, rural development and poverty eradication, social welfare and development, women, youth, civil service matter, rights of women and children. So for each sectoral body has the assigned national focal point to be in charge of each issues. For our Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, we also, beside the focal point for ASCC pillar, we also the national focal point on women, youth, social welfare and development, and the rights of women and children. For the next year, under the Chairmanship of Thailand, the meeting to be hosted under the ASCC pillar. So there's quite a number of meetings. There are about 15 meetings which are different level, 11 times of senior official meeting levels, and also for the ministerial level about 4 times. For our Ministry of Social Development and Human Security alone, we will host about two meetings for the ministerial level. And for the priority areas of the ASCC pillar for Thailand next year, as the ASEAN chair, we have grouped priority area of ASCC pillar into 3 components which are relevant to the main theme, which is the ASEAN Partnership for Sustainability. The first part is advancing for future orientation action for human security. So we have about 15 projects, meetings and activities to be run and to be organized for next year. For example, the activities under this part, advancing, like ASEAN Center for Active Aging and Innovation. For this center, Ministry of Public Health will be the host of this center. Disaster Emergency Logistics System for ASEAN, ASEAN Early Childhood Care Development and Education Quality Standard, ASEAN Declaration on Strengthening Education for our school children and youth. These are just some examples for the component. The second part is partnership, enhancing connectivity towards seamless ASEAN. So we have about 17 projects, meetings and activities. For example, ASEAN Training Center for social work and social welfare, or ATCSW, which are my ministry of social development and human security, will be the focal point. And also next year, as His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, just mentioned during his remarks that next year will be the ASEAN Year of Culture. So this from the Ministry of Culture of Thailand, ASEAN Civil Society Conference, and ASEAN People's Forum, ASEAN Women Entrepreneur Forum, and many more. So the third part, the third component under the AACC responsibility for sustainability in all dimensions towards sustainable ASEAN. For example, the meeting and activities under this, such as ASEAN Transboundary Haze-Free Roadmap, Ministerial Meeting on Reducing Marine Debris in ASEAN region, Ministerial Meeting on Combating Wildlife Trafficking. So besides that, next year, for our pillar, we will launch 4 centers at the ASEAN Center. The first one is the Disaster Emergency Logistics System for ASEAN, or DELSA. The second, ASEAN Center for Active Aging and Innovation. Third, ASEAN Cultural Center. The fourth, ASEAN Training Center for Social Work and Social Welfare. So besides the 4 centers that will be launched next year, numbers of outcome documents also will be launched next year during our chairmanship. So these are some briefing of our pillar. Yes.
Thank you very much, Director Sangdao. It seems that the Ministry of Social Development has so much work to do.
More than us. So hats off to the social cultural.
Lots of stuff to do. But DG Surya, next year we are having an election.
Yes.
How would that impact Thailand as chair?
What I just say is that all the preparations are made. All right. In ASEAN, if you understand ASEAN, and if you understand how we prepare for things, I cannot have ASEAN ideas agreed to next year if I just start now. So just for information, we started everything at least 2 years ago. We have 180 meetings or events next year. The key, in addition to the various critical strategic issues that will be endorsed, one of the most important is for example, the RCEP, of which there is a leaders' agreement to be determined to conclude the RCEP negotiations in 2019. For example, that's a major issue in of itself. It started a long time. It took a long time, but we think we're in the final stages. The centers that have been mentioned, the 4 that has been mentioned by our Human Security Ministry colleague, there's a total of 7. So the other 3, just to complete the picture, is the ASEAN Center for Sustainable Development Studies and Dialogue, the ASEAN Center of Military Medicine, which will be upgraded to be an international organization next year, and then there's and then one more. All right, I'm trying to remember, but there's a total of 7. A total of 7 centers that we are going to essentially, the ASEAN-Japan Cybersecurity Capacity Building Center, which is already established, but we will be enhancing its cooperation next year. A total of 7 centers that will help make sure that our solutions that we offer endure. So these plans are in place. No matter what government comes, throughout ASEAN's history and Thailand's history with ASEAN, there has never been a Thai government that has not supported ASEAN. So we see great continuity. And so our readiness is there. All the consensus building has been done. Next year, we will implement the playbook, so to speak, that will help continue this momentum in order to advance the partnership for sustainability. So we are ready. 180 meetings, at least 11 sectoral ministerial meetings, 7 centers, and many more ideas that will come up. At the end of the day, let me just say this, at the end of the day, what is important is that ASEAN and its partnerships with all our friends large or small, near or far, we create, at least within this booming, we hope, continually dynamic Asia-Pacific region, or some may call Indo-Pacific region, this whole area to continue to be stable and to have greater prosperity. And I think that is what ASEAN seeks to achieve. And that is why I think the theme of advancing partnership for sustainability will be one that we hope, despite differences perhaps among some of our partners in different areas, will come together through ASEAN in order to move forward together and to provide that measure of success that will be sustainable for future generations. That's how we see our chairmanship next year.
So for ASEAN, we can be positive about it, that we will have nothing like a divorce, like Brexit, nothing like that, right?
ASEAN, we're moving together, all 10. Experiences of other regions, we are of course unique to their specific region. But let me just say that we will continue to pursue and move forward together. Regionalism and multilateralism is very important for ASEAN, as it is important for many other regional organizations, whether it's the European Union or other regional organizations. The EU is a very important partner of ASEAN, for example, and we hope, I'm not going to reveal anything, but we hope that next year we'll have a very even stronger partnership with the European Union, between ASEAN and the European Union. So regionalism is strong, and we intend to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Next to Deputy Director General Ronarong, just now, Kun Suriya mentioned about RCEP and the importance of it. Can you please expand that a little bit more?
Okay. Well, of course, I think we all know that this year our leader announced that we have a substantial progress of the ASEAN negotiation this year, and next year we hope that, and I think leader have announced that ASEAN will be concluded or have to be concluded by next year. Well, we will have a lot of meetings for ASEAN. I think at least once a month, every month. Next year we have a lot. We will have different levels of the meeting. We will have working group level. We have a SOM, Asean, we call TNC level. Also we have minister level. But when we talking about the Thailand chairmanship, ASEP is a little different from the thing that Thailand chairmanship. Because if we talk about Thailand chairmanship, of course, ZOM level and minister level would take place in Thailand. And minister and DG will sit as a chair of the meeting. But for ASEP, the meeting would take place somewhere in different regions, not in Thailand. For example, if I'm not mistaken, we will have first TNC ASEP meeting in January next year in Jakarta. And then followed by Australia, we will have TNC level also, and China, I think. Okay. Thailand would be the host for the ASEP meeting in September. September is almost very close to a summit, very close. September, after ASEAN Economic Minister, so before ASEAN Summit. Meaning that Thailand need to, if you have a meeting, when we have a meeting in September, that we round of the finalization. Everything has to be done before September actually, in terms of technical things. So ASEP participating country need to work harder. First in January, every month. But Thailand, we prepare to have more meeting. We might have additional meeting. Maybe minister call additional meetings. Then we are prepared to be a host during the years, in any month. Okay. For the TNC level, Thailand would not be a chair of the meeting. Indonesia, who is coordinator or the chair of the TNC, will continue their chairmanship for the ASEP. But Thai minister will be set as the chair of the ASEP ministerial meeting. So he or she need to play a role, to try to finalize the thing that have been lessing by the TNC level or technical level. And also, when we have the ASEP leader, of course, leader need to do something. At least, leader might to, make a decision, because ASEP something we need to less a policy issue to the minister level and leader level. Okay, other than ASEP, I think on the economic pillars, we are so busy, we have to, as I said, we are continuing our negotiation among ourselves as well. We still need to work on the liberalization on the goods, services, and investment. On goods, of course, I think every ASEAN member states have import tariff elimination down to 0%. Almost every products, more than 99%. Product more than 99% traded in ASEAN region has a 0% of a tariff. Okay, but we need to work on the non-tariff measures. I think this morning, Thai foreign minister mentioned that if ASEAN does not reduce or eliminate the non-tariff barrier, then ASEAN would not be credibility. So this is the thing that we have to, again, work harder. So then we can continue our engagement with our dialogue partner when we're doing the FTA with a dialogue partner. So also, okay, we need to talk with existing dialogue partner because even though we have ASEAN Plus One is mean ASEAN China, ASEAN Korea, ASEAN India, ASEAN New Zealand, we need to do some upgrading on that ASEAN Plus One FTA as well. And also, we are in the process of a possibility study or in the process of a discussion with the European Union, EU, with the EAEU, including Russia. And also, we will study on the ASEAN-Canada FTA. So a lot of ASEAN dialogue partners also to continue to discuss. That's why I said advancing partnership very meaningful for us, because economic integration is one of our top agenda. For the AEC, at least minister level, we would have more than 15 ministerial meetings next year. Include energy side, finance, trade and commerce. But for the trade and investment, under the commerce minister, we have 9 meetings. I'm talking about the minister level. But when we talk about the COM, when we talk about the working group or any committee, we have a lot of meetings in Thailand. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I have one final question, and then after that, I'll open up the floor for any questions that you might have. Going back to the social pillar, Director Sangda, specifically for the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, do you have any specific focus? So much work to do because the focal point, everything else, but not politics and economics, is your ministry. But from your ministry itself, what are the specific plans for next year?
Okay, for our ministry, we have several events. As I mentioned to you that we will host the ministerial level meeting twice. The first time around March, and the second time will be back-to-back with the ASEAN Summit, probably around November next year. So for the process of preparation, it's quite a lot. So for the staff of our divisions are working very hard right now. So beside the meeting, so we will launch the center. We call ASEAN Training Center for Social Work and Social Welfare. So the TOR of the center already endorsed from the senior official meeting and also for the ministerial level of our pillar. So the vision of this center is to be a leading training center on social work and social welfare in ASEAN. So the purpose of this training, this center, to provide training courses for the development of social work and social welfare, to provide technical and professional skills, knowledge of the social work and social welfare, and to enhance and collaborative network for training center. The three main courses that will be initially offered are human trafficking, global social work and social welfare, also social protection. So we will open the site of this center maybe around March tentatively. So I hope we can invite excellencies and ladies and gentlemen to for the launching of our center. Another highlighted event that our ministry in charge is that we will give the importance for the people and involvement in building ASEAN community. So Thailand, by our ministry, will host the ASEAN Civil Society Conference or ASEAN People Forum 2019. So we anticipate around 1,000 participants from all over ASEAN to attend the event. Currently, our ministry has been working closely with Thai CSO to come up with the roadmap in organizing this important event. So for our ministry, we support this forum in terms of budget and platform and supporting in logistic and arrangements for this event to be happen, because we need the involvement and participation of our people and civil society. Yeah, this is just the event for next year as the Thailand Chairmanship. This is just for ASEAN. Besides that, we have the collaboration with like an international organization for UN framework. Yeah, this for our pillar, for our ministry. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite any questions that you may have, please. Yes, please, sir. Just a second, okay? It would be great if you can please introduce yourself.
Okay, Diki Komar from Indonesia. Thank you for very informative presentation. Two questions. First, what will be the main agenda for the retreat in January? Second, the last summit discussed the support to Myanmar in dealing with the issue in Rakhine State. Do the Thai chairmanship foresee any follow-up, including in involving the AHA Center in dealing with this issue? Thank you.
Thank you. I guess the first question is that the retreat agenda is being worked out amongst ASEAN member states, but it is no surprise. Usually the Foreign Ministers retreat is usually the ministerial curtain raiser for the chairmanship, and therefore it's an opportunity for the 10 ASEAN foreign ministers to have discussion on what are how do we move forward in terms of the various priority areas that Thailand has announced, and it's really in terms of partnership that we work together. It's a tradition that we have. It's a very useful tradition, and so we will continue that tradition. But again, the specific agenda we will work out amongst the ASEAN 10. Now, as regard to our neighbor, let me just say that yes, as you can see in the chairman's statement of the ASEAN 33rd ASEAN Summit, there's been some discussion in this matter, and we will move in support of our neighboring country, which is a member of the ASEAN family, to help address the issue. And specific steps have already been mentioned in the chairman's statement regarding the role of the ASEAN Humanitarian Assistance Center that could play in terms of not only the humanitarian assistance, but in terms of the issue of repatriation. So we are there to support our neighbor and our member of the ASEAN family to address the issue, as was discussed at and reflected in the chairman's statement of the 33rd ASEAN Summit. While I have the floor, let me just, I neglected to say a couple things, but which is important for our external dimensions, and that is, number one, we look forward to the ASEAN ROK Commemorative Summit to be held in the ROK. I'm reminded when I look at the Korean ambassador to the ASEAN sitting in front of me, I did not mention that, so yes, it is confirmed, there's a leader's decision that there will be an ASEAN ROK Commemorative Summit in 2019. We understand towards the latter part of 2019. The details are being worked out. So we look forward to that. It's another important event during Thailand's chairmanship. And there was a leader's decision in Singapore to have the ASEAN-Russia partnership to be a strategic partnership as well. So that is another important development in terms of external relations. And of course, in addition to being the chair of ASEAN, Thailand is proud to be the country coordinator for ASEAN-India dialogue relations, which is also a strategic partnership, and we look forward to many important deliverables coming out in that partnership as well. As you know, in ASEAN, we have a coordinator system whereby one ASEAN country is assigned to be a coordinator with a particular dialogue partner. So that's to help the chair, but actually to help drive and ensure that each partnership, which we value, continues to be dynamic. So many different partners that we have, partnerships that will be ongoing next year under our chairmanship. We look forward to working with every dialogue partner, every strategic partner, as well as every sectoral dialogue partner. Of ASEAN, I see, of course, the ambassador of Norway to ASEAN, and of course the ambassador of Norway here to Thailand, a valued sectoral dialogue partner in Norway, and the other three sectoral dialogue partners as well, Turkey, Switzerland, and Pakistan. And one special case, a development partner in Germany, so we will enhance our external relations in all dimensions in a sustainable manner. Thank you very much.
Yes, just a second, okay? Here, the lady in front, and then I'll go to the lady at the back.
Thank you to the panelists. I'm Dana Graber-Laddick with the United Nations Migration Agency. And the Deputy Director General Ranong referred to the movement of services and goods, and I'm wondering about the movement of people, because there is quite an important impact on both high-skilled and low-skilled labor mobility in the region. And I'm wondering next year if there will be any events or reports that specifically address migration or labor migration. And Director Uri, you did mention counter-trafficking, but in any other forms will it be addressed? Perhaps this is a question for MSDHS.
Thank you. I think migration would be under the social pillar. It's not the trade, because when we're talking about the free trade agreement, we're talking about the movement of skilled labor. That would not touch on the migration or anything. We're talking about we move the professional, we move the skilled labor. It's not unskilled. So that would be under the social pillar, I think. Yeah.
Actually, I don't have in-depth information about this, but for our pillar, the sectoral body under this pillar is the slum labor. So Ministry of Labor is the focal point for these issues. According to the information that Ministry of Labor, they will host several meetings also, both senior official level and ministerial level. I'm sure that they will have those kind of issues to be addressed during the meeting, both level. Yeah.
For the lady in green, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Ruang Khao Janchai. I'm from UN Women Regional Office for Asia Pacific. We really treasure our partnership with ASEAN as well as the EU. We get trusted from you to support on a number of important issues. So for us to be effective partner to support your priorities next year in 2019, I'd like to ask you to highlight top 3 priorities or concrete opportunities that you think ASEAN can hope to achieve under Thailand chairmanship. Thank you.
Well, that's let me answer this way. The top 3 priorities are advancing, partnership, sustainability. All right, so that's probably the easiest answer to give. But I think I'd like to touch on the important issue that you raised, gender-based issues, and I guess the overall concept of gender mainstreaming, which is something that Thailand and ASEAN attaches great importance to. Let me just say, first of all, I failed to neglect, and I apologize. I have to say that the ASEAN, the partnership also involves working with many different organizations. I'm proud that the AWEN, Thailand AWEN, the ASEAN Women's Entrepreneurs Network, is here with us, a great partner of us, and they are also the Thailand AWEN is also the chair of AWEN next year as well. So there is that important contribution that the women's entrepreneurs give to the ASEAN process. And let me just say that the importance of gender issues cannot be understated. That is why women's economic empowerment, for example, is one of the key priorities in ASEAN's Sustainable Development Cooperation that we've been working on the last couple of years. We work very closely with UN Women to realize some specific projects, and this will certainly continue. I'm very proud that my department is 97% women. I think it will go even further up because of the dynamics of how personnel are shifted. But I think it goes to show that this is a very important part of ASEAN's community building process, and in terms of leaving no one behind. So we look forward to a very robust women's economic empowerment agenda, as well as the general agenda of gender mainstreaming in ASEAN's policies during our chairmanship. So yes, the 3 priorities would be advancing, partnership, for sustainability. Thank you.
Yeah, next question, please. Any other questions? Turn.
Yeah, I think for the economic side, I think I have mentioned a lot on the economic integration of free trade agreement. When ASEAN doing the liberalization internally, I think that will be okay. We build on everything that we have been working. But when we do liberalization externally, that's very important for us to be very strong. We need to compete with others, right? If we are not strong enough, we would lose more than what we gain from the opening of the market. So I think the agenda is that ASEAN need to be competitive, need to be innovative and dynamic. So this can be the idea, to think about how Thailand would be pushed or would be put in our Thailand deliverable. We will focus on like 3 or 4 things. Like number 1, the digital economy. Number 2, trade facilitation. Number 3, we will focus on the MISME. The MISME means anything we will give. We will make MISME mean SME, SME, MISME. Yeah. And also we'll be focused on, let me see. Okay, when we're talking about trade facilitation, of course, we will fulfill our goal to have like ASEAN's single window, for example. So those are one of our deliverables that we will push for next year's chairmanship. Yeah. Thank you.
Next question. Any more questions at all? Done, right? Any questions? Yes? Yes, at the back, please. At the back. Please raise your hand. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Yamyut, news reporter from Prasha Thai, an online news website. I have a question. How would ASEAN under Thai chairmanship address the trans-border issues like the dams in Mekong River? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Let me broaden it a little bit. I think trans-border issues is endemic in any regional organization, and it has to do everything from transnational crimes to pandemics and many others. Let me just say that it is a top priority for ASEAN because it is very much related to the overall sustainable security of ASEAN. And that is why, for example, one of our priorities is to develop a better understanding and more concrete measures to advance what we call ASEAN border management cooperation. And my Foreign Minister already announced one of our ideas is to work towards what we call an ASEAN-wide border management arrangement. This will help strengthen our capabilities to safeguard the ASEAN community from various trans-border issues, including transnational crime. You see, our philosophy is very simple. As we move much more to become much more connected through the connectivity agenda, that is very important. As the ASEAN single window, we hope to be fully in place very soon. You have to also have a corresponding safeguard system to screen out the bad from the good. And that is why the idea of ASEAN border management cooperation is an important issue. It's an issue that will be taken up amongst many sectors, but primarily in what we call the ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Transnational Crime, which we will also chair next year. To the issue of dams, this is something that will be, of course, decided based on the interests of the various countries involved, but of course with due consideration to many important ecological issues and other issues that are very important related to dam construction. This will be something that will be discussed by the countries concerned. In the broader aspects of ASEAN, I do not recall there is a system to discuss that particular issue, but I'm certain that it is an issue that is in the minds of many ASEAN countries as we take forward development cooperation, which has to be sustainable. So that is how I would answer that question. And let me just end by saying that the chairmanship of ASEAN under Thailand's chairmanship is a continuation. All right, it's not just 365 days. It's a building on the great achievements under Singapore and prior to that under the Philippines. And we hope, will provide a good foundation for Vietnam's chairmanship after us in 2020. It's an enduring story. It's a never-ending story. But that's what ASEAN is all about. We move forward and we solve our problems and then we learn from our experiences and we continue. So that is, I think, how I would like to conclude my remarks. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much for all the questions and thank you so much for your attention as well. Please give our panelists a round of applause.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the end of today's event. Thank you for taking time being with us today and have a lovely day. Thank you.